Welcome back to another episode of the Selective podcast. I'm your host XR, joined today by my co-host T. Episode 20 of the pod, which means that it's a Q&A episode. Like we had told you guys, every 10 episodes we're going to do a Q&A. Went on Instagram and asked y'all to send us some questions, and we got some good ones. So I'm really looking forward to this one. But before we get into it, man, T, welcome back, dude. How are you doing?
Doing good, man. I'm in Brazil right now. Getting some stuff checked out, catching up with some family and stuff, but heading back to Europe tomorrow. And excited for another Q&A episode. It's always a good time. So yeah, ready to get into it.
For sure, man. Soaking up the Brazil sun. How was
it? It's actually winter. It's actually winter here right now.
Oh, that's right. Because you're in the southern hemisphere.
Yeah, it's crazy because I was in Switzerland, and Switzerland's usually a cold place, right? But as it gets into summer, it gets really warm. And so I was there and I was like, it was warm. It's been raining a lot actually this summer, which is a little unfortunate.
Oh yeah, bro. Europe is getting like hammered right now, bro.
I was about to say, I don't know if you've been seeing, but in Germany, there's been like crazy flooding. All these places are having crazy flooding, which is crazy. I mean, if any of you guys are in those areas, I hope you're all safe and doing well. Yeah. But, I thought I didn't even think about how it was winter in Brazil. And so I packed like really light gear. And dude, like the second I got off the plane, you know how there's like that bridge that connects your plane to the terminal? Dude, I stepped onto that bridge and it was freezing, man.
Wait, it gets cold in Brazil?
Dude, it's crazy because in Brazil, like 16 degrees Celsius, I have no idea what that is in Fahrenheit.
Yeah,
but it's like 16 degrees Celsius, like in Switzerland, that's decently warm. But here in Brazil, like in Sao Paulo, 16 degrees Celsius. I don't know why. I don't know if it's like to do with humidity and whatnot, but it's so cold, dude. Like,
really?
And stuff here isn't built for the cold, it's almost warm, like fully year round. And so when it gets a little bit cold, like it'll be 16 degrees and you'll see people outside, they'll be like in puffer jackets, wearing a scarf and stuff. No, it's crazy.
Bro, 16 Celsius is 60 degrees Fahrenheit. I had to do the conversion, which is like, it's not like cold, but it's like chilly.
Yeah, it's chilly, right?
Yeah.
But here it's like cold, dude. It's like brick out. It's genuinely cold. At least there's sun though. Can't complain.
Yeah, man. That reminds me of like Mexico too. Like South Texas, Mexico. Like when like the winter, it gets like in the 50s, 60 degrees, which is like, 16 Celsius, maybe like 12 Celsius, which isn't like freezing, like obviously compared to like places like Switzerland. But for those people, like they're like in like
they're freezing,
bro. They're like the fur coats come out,
Yeah. Yeah, no, for real. They really do be like that.
Yeah. Well, it's already July, man. End of July. I know you're trying to come back to New York in August. Do you have like an ETA when you're going to be here?
Yeah, so my plan right now is to come around like the 10th or the 12th of August and then, start apartment hunting and hopefully lock something in. I mean, I get back started with my semester first week of September. So I hope to be moved into a new spot by the first week of September. And if not, not too far from that date.
Yeah.
But it's tough right now, man. I've been reading a lot and it's like, I think it's the largest influx of new people moving into Manhattan in the history of the world. Like,
really?
Yeah, because so many people left, but it seems like even more people came back, right? Or like new people came. I mean, you're like classic example. You're a new person that's now moved to Manhattan,
Right.
And so there's been this huge influx of new people moving into the city, and like the real estate market, especially the rental market, is crazy, man. There's like absolutely no inventory. Anything that gets listed gets snapped up in like 2 days. No, it's crazy. And the prices are high, man. I mean, New York City is notoriously expensive, but it's like especially expensive right now.
Yeah, no, it is, man. Like when I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but like when I moved in July, bro, like I've never seen that many moving trucks in like one place. Like, I mean, dude, it was like U-Hauls, Penske's everywhere, bro. And like I was like, what the fuck, man? People are really like back and like they're moving in. And like for me, it was like I always wanted to move here, so I knew I was gonna be here. But I think for a lot of people too, like the prices had dropped a lot, and then now they're like starting to go back up.
Yeah. I was talking to my broker, my real estate agent in New York, and he was telling me like there was a 6-month period during the pandemic where everybody was moving out of New York that literally the real estate market was actually dead. Like there was absolutely no transactions. He was telling me, he was like, it's crazy. Like I thought the city was finished. You know, I genuinely thought that living in New York City, it was done forever.
Really? Fuck.
And he was telling me that some of his clients that believed that the city would come back, they like locked in long-term leases during that time, like a 3-year lease,
Oh my
where
God.
They were getting like 50% off.
Yeah. Oh
Literally.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, no, it's crazy. And I mean, obviously with the devaluation of currency, inflation and whatnot, like stuff's just so expensive now. Like I think it'll take a while for our brains to actually adjust to the fact that the currency's been devalued. But
Yeah.
you know, it's not easy for you to think like, oh, before the pandemic, when the world was going great and the economy was going great and everything was going good, I was paying X amount for my apartment, and now I have to pay a higher amount for a smaller apartment. You know, like it's hard for me to process that in my head.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, and like in the United States too, the housing market is like so fucked right now, man. Like people are like buying houses. Like I know, I don't know if this is like a New York thing, but like in the suburbs too, just across the nation, like housing stock is like so low. Like people are just buying houses like crazy, and like it's
I
just
mean, it's because there's negative interest, right? Like, why would I
mm,
keep my money in a bank account when it's literally negative interest? Like, I'm going to lose money by just letting it be in a bank account. So I
mm,
might as well buy real estate because, you know, there's a potential that it's going to appreciate or whatnot.
yeah. Yeah, and a lot of people are buying up houses, and it's just been it's been a madhouse. But that being said, I hung out with Joel this past weekend. Shout out Flavor
Yeah.
Joel.
Shout out, Joel.
It was a lot of fun, and like when we were out, man, I was just like, fuck, dude, it's so busy, bro. Like there were
Yeah.
so many people out, man. It was just like almost kind of insane, to be honest with you, you know.
But you feel that energy. Like I keep telling everybody I see, like when I was in New York a couple months ago, getting vaccinated and whatnot, you could just feel the energy, like that the city was back, really, that people were happy to be back. You know,
Mm,
people were happy to be out. And I'm really excited to get back. I mean, you know, life's getting back to normal slowly but surely. And,
yeah.
you know, it's exciting.
Yeah, and to get back to school too and stuff, just get back into that routine. It's just like we've all been like you know, wanting that sense of like
Yeah.
normalcy, you know.
Especially after, you know, losing basically a year of our lives. Everybody basically lost a year of their life, had to put it on pause, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%, man, 100%. But we're getting back there. Looking forward to having you back in the city, man. It's been a fun time since I've been here for the past few weeks.
Absolutely.
It's been wild, but you know, loving New York, and you know, looking forward to having you back. But all right, man, let's get into the Q&A. We asked you guys to send us questions, and y'all send us a lot of good questions. I think a good one to start with is from Carlos Keith. He asked, how do you guys make connections with well-known individuals in this niche? And I think he's referring to just like in fashion. The question is, you know, how
Yeah.
do you make connections with people in fashion?
I
Um,
think that, like, I think I'll start off on that.
yeah, yeah,
At least for me, it's like the members of the team at the Selective, you know, it's like really it's like-minded individuals that, you know, are trying to, that it's not even like work together. It's like almost hanging out, but, you know,
mm,
working towards a common goal.
yeah,
And at the end of the day, you know, we have like our group chat where we discuss shit like new releases, you know, fashion shows and whatnot. And it's like, it's really just, it's easy to bond and, you know, meet someone if you have a shared interest. You know what I mean? And I feel
yeah,
like that's especially how I've gone on to, you know, meet a lot of people, I guess, in this niche
yeah,
is really just you're on Instagram and you see another guy and, you know, that guy likes the same shit as you. Maybe he's got the same pair of sneakers that you have or whatever, a similar style. And at the end of the day, it's an easy conversation starter, you know?
yeah, yeah. Easy conversation starter. And then another thing I would add to that is that like people are people, no matter who you are. And I don't know, like I have this thing. It's like try not to idolize people.
Absolutely.
And
I
it's
was going to say that.
like everybody's like people are people, no matter who you are. And like, you know, if just because somebody has, you know, 50,000 followers doesn't mean they're any different than you, per se. You know, they're just a person at the end of the day. They all have feelings, like we all go through the same stuff. And like when you're starting conversations with people, I think it's important to like not to not like treat people any differently, and to
Yeah,
not
you
like
don't want to
idolize
put them
people.
on a, yeah, you don't want to put them on a pedestal like
Exactly.
that. When you meet someone, it's like you're the same as that person, no matter what. You know, that person, you could be talking to Jeff Bezos, and at the end of the day, yeah, he's the richest man in the world, but he's just a person at the end of the day, you
Yeah.
know? And it's like if you idolize someone and from the get-go, you're the first word you say to them, you're already putting them on a pedestal where you're like, yo, this guy's above me. I'm like trying to impress him, or I'm
Yeah.
trying to, you know, I want to be his friend. It's like that's not that's not a way to go about doing something like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's exactly what you said. People are people, you know, and I've met a lot of people in this niche, I guess, that, you know, you can see their Instagram accounts and they'll have, you know, 50,000, 100,000 followers, whatever it is. But, I consider those people my friends. They're regular people because at the end of the day, we like food, we like fucking fashion, we like sneakers, we like whatever it is, we have shared interests and, it's their friend.
Exactly. And we all go through the same stuff. And, and I think that's important is that when you're making connections in fashion and you're trying to meet people is like, like, don't think of people as like a way to, don't think of other people as a way to like get ahead or, to build a relationship. I mean, just be genuine with people, it's not everything is like a rat race. Like, it's not about like, oh, I'm going to reach out to T because, I can get something out of it. And like, we can form a relationship and he can help me. It's like, no, man, like we're just, like at the end of the day, like we're all just trying to have fun. And, it's not all about like getting something out of it. It's just about being a good person and like, having good conversations. And just being like a genuine person,
Yeah, absolutely. And like, shout out Sam Zucker Swag, who was on the podcast last week.
Yes, sir.
I met him because, on Instagram, we had a mutual friend who was all over Guan, and shout out Guan. I'm going to come on the show soon for an interview.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we had a mutual friend in Guan, and Guan and I had made a plan to meet up in London, and Sam lived in London or still lives in London. And we pulled up there, and Guan was already friends with him, and he was like, "Yo, let's link up with my friend. He's a really good guy." And that's how you start. That's how you meet people.
Yeah.
For me especially, I'm someone who travels a lot. Often, I'll be traveling by myself, or I'll be in a city that I'm a complete stranger to everybody there. It's very easy for you to find someone on Instagram that lives there that likes the same things as you, and go hang out with them. At the end of the day, that's how people start friendships nowadays.
Yeah, man. 100%. That reminds me of like when I was hanging out with Joel this past weekend, like obviously like I met him through you when we had him on the podcast.
Yeah.
And it was just a good ass episode, like really cool guy. And then, we talk on IG every now and then, and he's like, yo, like, let's hang out this weekend. So
yeah,
this past weekend, on Sunday, we were just out and we were shopping and stuff. And it's like, I've known Joel as like as an Instagram personality, but he was showing me the ropes, man. Like he was like talking to me, like we went to Brooklyn too, and we were doing some thrift shopping and stuff. And he was like telling me about the neighborhoods. Like he was like, like really nice. Like he was like very like trying to like, just trying to like teach me about New York. And it was like, so it was just genuine and it was fun. And if we wouldn't have had that conversation, I wouldn't have been able to learn what I did and like just absorb that information,
Yeah, that's how it is, especially, 100%. Shout out Joel again, man. Just a genuine guy. The world needs people like that, just genuine people. Like at the end of the day, it's what you said, I'm not going to go hang out with someone that I think wants to hang out with me because they want to get something out of it,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's not about that, it's about just having a good time. Like, I don't know, man. I was telling Joel this, man. Like for me, life's just about like people, food, and like, feeling good. And
shout out Anthony Bourdain.
Rip the legend, man. Have you seen that documentary, by the way?
I haven't seen it yet. Roadrunner. If you guys are into food, if you guys are into Anthony Bourdain, XR and I, we're really big Anthony Bourdain fans.
Yeah.
Him and I actually have the same birthday, which is crazy.
Dude, but, bro, growing up, he was the reason why like I wanted to travel and like I wanted to just go to places that people wouldn't go to and just like enjoy food.
Right. Absolutely. No, Parts Unknown, which if you guys haven't seen, that's his show. You can watch it nowadays, I think on HBO or something.
Yeah.
You have to watch Parts Unknown, man. It's not a cooking show. It's like a show about culture. It's a show about meeting people. And, it's just a show about living life. Like you said, enjoying life.
Yeah. And that's what it's all about, man. Yeah. Shout out Anthony Bourdain. That guy has like inspired, I think, both of us and a lot of other millions of people around the world to just like enjoy life for what it is, the nuances and everything that comes with it. So
absolutely.
So Carlos, appreciate you asking us that question. Next question is by Marco.season. Favorite recent pickups. T, have you picked anything up recently?
Dude, recent pick. I bought the Amamanier. I think they're the 3s.
Bro, you bought the 3s?
Yeah, I bought those. Yeah, I bought a couple pair of those.
Are you gonna keep one of them on ice?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's a great looking shoe. It's white, gray, and cream.
It's gonna go up in value, bro.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's a shoe that you can't go wrong with. I've told a lot of people this. I think it's not slept on because obviously, I think they're worth like $500, $600 at the end of the day. That's a lot of money for a
Yeah,
shoe.
yeah, yeah.
But it's a nice shoe. It's a really nice shoe. I haven't got around to wearing my pair yet, but I will for sure. That's something that I've picked up recently. And then,
Do you
and
think those are Union caliber, like down the line, or it's too early to
I,
tell?
I don't think so because at the end of the day, I think that the Jordan 1 silhouette is always going to be a more wearable silhouette than the Jordan 3.
Yeah, that's fair.
And so it's also a more iconic silhouette, at least in my opinion,
Yeah,
especially nowadays. I mean, it's not even like I wouldn't consider a Jordan 1 like a Jordan sneaker anymore. It's like a fashion sneaker.
yeah,
Really,
yeah.
like
Right.
you see girls wearing Jordan 1s all the time now,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
And yeah, so I don't think that it would get to that caliber, but nevertheless, it's a very well executed shoe. I mean, the quality is nice on them. The colorway is very clean, and I've seen a lot of people rock them like really in a really clean manner. Some really good fits with those on. So
Yeah, I think
those
it
are a
was
good
smart.
shoe.
I think it's smart to keep one dead stock though, because I feel like
Yeah,
that shoe is gonna definitely go up in value.
I think so. I think so for sure. What about you, man? What have you been picking up?
I got a pair of Guidis recently.
Right, fire.
Yeah, I didn't get the back zip or the front zip. They're actually side zip, which is interesting. But they're already broken in. I got them from a seller in Germany. And they came in a couple days, and they were already broken in, so I didn't have to do much of the work. They already have like the Vibram on them, so like I didn't have to take them to the cobbler or anything, which is good. And I've been
Fire.
living in those. So, but it's been hot, man. So like I picked up a pair of Birkenstocks too.
Fire. Yeah, I actually have a pair of the Stussy Birkenstocks,
Yeah.
but I have the ones that are like that beige color with the white sole. I
Mm,
think those are actually super sick. Like,
super clean.
yeah. And at the end of the day, like the more you wear them, like your foot kind of molds into the sole, it's just a great shoe.
Bro,
I
when
mean,
the first time I wore those Birks, oh my god, I was playing soccer in like Chelsea. There's like a soccer field out on the pier.
yeah, Chelsea Piers. Yeah, of
Yeah,
course. I've,
yeah,
yeah, I've
man.
been there.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was so. I took off my cleats and I put on the Birks, and then I walked to the train. I was walking to like the six on no, not the six. Walking to like the one on Houston Street, and bro, my feet were killing me because like I
They're not
hadn't,
broken in.
bro. It was like
Yeah.
digging into my arch, bro. It was, and
Oh,
I had
yeah,
just
bro.
played for like 2 hours. I was like crying, bro.
No, bro, I know exactly what you mean. Like that, it's like that breaking period is rough,
Yeah.
but once you get through it, it's a great shoe. You're gonna enjoy it.
Yeah, man. I feel like I've kind of broken them in now. I was wearing them yesterday and they felt so good walking around.
Yeah.
But it's been hot. So the Guidis I've worn them a couple times, but really I've just been wearing the Birks a lot just because like, it's summer. I just want my feet to breathe. Your shout out Joel, he said that he commissioned uh some Chrome Hearts Birks, bro.
Really?
Yeah. So
Wow, that's sick,
yeah, he said he'll get those back probably in a couple months. So I'm looking forward to seeing those. But
dude.
yeah, for footwear, just been wearing just the Guidis and then just the Birks I've been living in. In terms of outerwear
Oh,
pieces, I haven't really
I
bought
got
anything,
another pickup. I got another pickup that I didn't mention. I bought the Mirror Keepall, the Louis Vuitton Fall Winter 21 Virgil Abloh, like the new Mirror Keepall.
bro.
I got two of those. One of them is on the Selective right now. So if you guys want to buy it, check it out, man. It's a sick ass Keepall. And I know for a fact that that's a future classic.
You think so?
Oh yeah, quote me today, man. Like once you see it in person, it's like it's different. For
Yeah.
me, that was the catalyst that made me want to buy it. It's just different. At the end of the day, nowadays, I think that a regular Louis Vuitton Keepall is not worth it because I don't even think they're real leather.
It's not, bro. It's like
nowadays.
canvas or
Yeah,
some shit.
it's like a
not,
plastic.
yeah,
It's like a plastic variant or something. Like
yeah.
honestly, it's not. I would never walk into Louis Vuitton and buy like a monogram Keepall nowadays,
Yeah.
and I
The
would
quality's
never.
not there.
Absolutely. But this Mirror Keepall, it was expensive, but honestly, fire. And then I got the Fall Winter 21 varsity jacket as well, the green one, which I get back to Switzerland on Saturday, and I'm going to pick it up on Saturday. So I'm really excited for that.
Dude, okay, so the Keepo is like really nice. When I went to the pop up, the LV pop up, and Joel picked up the wallet, the mirror
Right.
wallet, and it's like
Mirror wallet.
yeah, really nice wallet, and I think he did a good job with that. And I agree with you. Like if anyone's in the market for like an LV Keepo, like I don't know, like it's not leather, so like it's not like you're paying a lot for something that's not gonna like that's not gonna age well with time.
Yeah. And it's just like, at the end of the day, I think that it's what I said really. The Mirror Keepall is different. You know, I think that I personally don't think it's a keep all that I'm going to be taking to the airport. I think it's a little bit too shiny to take to the airport, but it's like, I see it as almost an art piece. I just think it's so well executed, and they're sold out completely. You have to do a pre-order. And at my local Louis Vuitton in Switzerland, the whole store only got 3 of those keep-alls, and I got 2 of them.
Jesus.
So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice bag. And then the varsity jacket, you got the forest green one.
Yeah.
And you've talked about before how like the quality on those varsities are just a little different. Like the leather on the sleeves is just,
it's different. You have to see it in person. Honestly, once I get back to New York City, I want us to do like a video review of that jacket or something, just so that, because at the end of the day, I mean, it's like a $6,000 jacket, you know, not everybody will ever get to see or touch or, you know, see the intricate details of such a jacket.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I think that if you're in a position where you're able to buy something like that, that's a nice piece, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And like the varsity jackets have become like a staple for Virgil.
Virgil at LV. And I mean, I don't know if you've been keeping up, but LVMH is buying stake in Off-White now.
Yeah, like 60%.
You know. Yeah, dude, majority stake. I mean, Virgil's pockets are getting fat, dude. And what's crazy is that he works like overtime, and nowadays he's probably like a multi-millionaire. You know, he's got a ton of, like, people don't realize that this guy started Off-White himself, you know?
Yeah.
And at one point, Off-White was the biggest brand in the world a couple of years ago, like 4 years ago or something. It was the #1 brand in sales in the whole world. Think about that. Like,
and the thing is that the evolution of Off-White has been really interesting. It went from like street to really like runway stuff. Like it's been, you know, the past couple runway shows have been pretty impressive. And it's like,
I mean, I personally haven't bought an Off-White piece in like 4 years.
Yeah.
And I don't see that changing, because at the end of the day, I just don't like the people that are wearing the brand, I guess. And I don't like how it's so like,
so loud
stripes, you know, it's so loud. It's so like, it's so loud. It's too loud for me.
Yeah.
But honestly, respect to Virgil, man.
Yeah. How do you feel about that acquisition though? Do you feel like that's a good move for LVMH? I mean, they own so much, bro. Like,
I mean, I think that they're basically like a fashion monopoly nowadays. You know, it's like, I mean, at the end of the day, why wouldn't they buy it? You know, they just have all this extra money lying around, and it's like,
and they already have Virgil right there. Like, he's already working with them at OV. Like, why not just finish the package?
I think that it was not inevitable, but I wasn't shocked. You know, I wasn't shocked to hear that was happening.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I wasn't either. It was, I mean, 60% is a lot. I know Virgil's still going to be at the helm of those, but he's a busy guy, bro. Like, I don't know how he splits his time between Off-White and LV. It's actually insane.
Yeah, he doesn't sleep for sure.
Oh yeah, probably not. But Marco, thank you for sending in that question. Next question is from frame _ work. Best way to decide if you should pull the trigger on an item. This is a tough one. It really just depends on like your situation, like your budget, how much you're willing to spend on something. But you know, for me personally, like buying clothes, just comes down to these days. It comes down to like if I'm really gonna wear something. I bought so much shit that just sits in the closet, and then I sell it later, and it's like, that was so fucking stupid,
dude. Like, absolutely, man.
And it just comes down to, look, there's a difference between like window shopping and like buying something. There are pieces out there in the world that I can admire from afar, but I have to admit that look, I just can't rock it. It's not for me, and that's okay. And I think that took a long time for me to get out of that mindset. It's like, I saw something and I'm like, man, I gotta have it without even thinking beforehand. Like, does this even fit with my rotation? Would I even wear this piece?
Yeah, that's the problem nowadays. I mean, we keep talking about Joel, but I remember very well that on the episode that we had Joel on, he was talking about how at first, like when his Instagram started doing well, he was like, oh shit, I got to keep buying stuff so that I can keep up with the trends, so I can keep posting fit pics, so I can keep getting more followers, more likes, you know, all that. And I remember he very specifically said, you know, he was like, so I ended up spending the bag and now I'm broke. And it's like, you know,
exactly.
For what, you know? And I totally feel that. I mean, that's the issue nowadays, is that I think that, not that the Instagram culture is toxic, but I see that a lot, especially in young kids. They're like, oh shit, I have to keep up with the trends. You know, I have to buy this so that I can get these likes. You know, this brand new Virgil sneaker just dropped. I have to buy it.
Right.
Chrome Hearts denim, I have to buy it. You know, it's like, at the end of the day, it's what you said. You know, I think that it takes maturity, it takes time, and it takes a lot of self-awareness for you to realize I'm very much on the same boat as you. Nowadays, like I used to be someone who religiously, I used to buy at least an item per day. Okay. Think about that. Religiously on Grailed, I used to buy at least one item per day. And I did that for over a year.
Bro,
Okay.
that's over 300 packages at least.
No, I'm telling you, like, if you ask people at my house, like, I used to get daily packages all the time. I used to get packages in all the time because I not that I had a shopping addiction, but like, I wanted to always buy new stuff. I was always like, fuck, that's so nice. It's what you said, I would admire pieces, but for me, it wasn't enough to admire. I had to own it,
But but doesn't it lose its charm after a while?
Absolutely. So that's why it's unsustainable, because I got to a point where I had a closet that was just packed full of so much stuff. And I was still always wearing Common Projects, a nice pair of pants and like a t-shirt.
Yeah, right.
At the end of the day, you only have two legs, one upper body, one head,
right.
and 2 feet, right? Yeah. You can only wear so many clothes. And so like, I remember it got to this point where I had like 50 jackets, dude. I had literally like outerwear pieces is what I used to go especially crazy for, and I had so many jackets.
Was there a point where you looked in your closet and you're like it clicked, and you're like,
yeah, it was okay. One day where it just clicked. It was just like, dude, I'm spending so much money on all these clothes, and at the end of the day, I'm going to school and stuff, and I'm not wearing any of this stuff.
Yeah.
I specifically, very early on, I had a Raf Simons archive phase where I was like, I want to make a crazy collection of like Raf Simons archive, like every significant piece, right? So I was just shopping crazy, buying all this Raf. And from one day to the other, I was like, holy fuck, like this stuff is unwearable, dude. I was like,
really?
Yeah, because like 90% of Raf archive pieces, unless you have like that really avant-garde style, like where you're out on the street and people are kind of looking at you like, yo, this guy's doing something crazy over there. Yeah. That's not me. That's never been me. I'm kind of an understated guy, I would say. And so it got to that point where I was like, I had a Raf Simons Poltergeist parka, and we'll put a picture of that up. Black Raf Simons.
That's a classic piece. Classic piece.
It's an iconic piece for Raf, but I didn't wear it ever, not even once. And it's like, I resold it really well. I made a nice profit on that, so I can't complain.
Yeah.
But I never wore it, and it's just that kind of thing. It's like, so back to the question, how do you decide if you're going to pull the trigger on a piece? I think it's really about understanding if that piece is going to fit into your style, into your day-to-day life. At the end of the day, I want to get to the point where I have like 10 pairs of pants, 10 pairs of sneakers, a couple t-shirts, like a couple jackets. And that's that, because the more I go on with my life and, the more I learn about things, it's like the less stress I want to have in my life,
right?
And the more things you own,
the more stress,
the more stress you have, because it's like, you have to keep track of these things, you have to, it's just more headaches. And nowadays I've gotten to that point where I want to have a life that's easy, because if I'm working or if I'm doing a bunch of other stuff, I don't want the little things to get in the way of that.
Yeah. I mean, bro, like the days where like I would wake up and it would take me 20, 30 minutes to get dressed. My girlfriend would laugh at me. Sometimes she would get upset. She's like, XR, we got to get out of the house, and you changed like twice. And it's like, and like looking back at those moments and going back to the question, you have to take L's in order to get to this point. Like
you do.
You do. Like it's you're going to buy shit and you're going to realize like that was dumb, and it happens. And looking back at those moments where she would laugh at me and get upset, it's like, that like why? Like when I get up in the morning, it needs to be easy.
It needs to be. That's what I want, bro. You just summarized exactly what I want. I want it to be easy.
There's too much going on these days, like there's too much going on.
Nowadays it is easy. I've gotten to that point where I still have too much stuff, and I'm slowly, getting rid of that stuff as it comes. But at this point, I've gotten to a point where it's easy, where I wake up in the morning and it's like, I got between these 3 pair of pants, I already know I'm going to put one of these 3 on, I already know I'm going to put Common Projects on, and like, I'm going to get out of the house. I want it to be easy. And now it is, and I think that the closer I get to that, and like the less stuff that I own, the better. And that's really like, I think that that's a mentality that a lot of people have to adapt into their wardrobe in order to really find that fulfillment that I guess I was chasing by buying all that stuff,
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And that kind of segues into the next question by Not Big Uzi Vert. What are you guys wearing today?
And
this kind of segues into the question after that, which is really good too. But what am I wearing today? I'm just wearing a black vintage shirt. a pair of black 501s, and I haven't left the house yet. But if I probably need to go to the grocery store later to pick up some stuff. So probably just wear my Birks. And you know what? That's the thing, is that I'm just wearing like the same shit. I'm literally wearing the same fit every day. So like, T, what are you wearing today?
Dude, I'm actually excited that you've asked this question. I'm wearing a Uniqlo black crew neck.
Yes, sir.
Underneath, I'm wearing a Uniqlo black t-shirt.
Yes, sir.
And then I'm wearing a pair of Text trousers, which like are my everyday fucking trousers every single day, no matter what. And on feet, I left the house a little earlier today, and I was wearing. So this is a shoe that. So when at one point I was doing a couple of Twitch streams.
Yeah, I remember.
Like during the pandemic, when I was like really really bored, I would just start streaming on Twitch, and some people were really enjoy. It was a really good time. Some people would really enjoy coming on and like chopping it up and shit.
Right.
And I remember during one of my streams, I specifically told people like, "Yo, a shoe that I've really been fucking with recently I think is so slept on is actually the Adidas Prime Knit Stan Smith." Like, I swear, dude, I swear, as stupid as that sounds, dude, like Adidas Prime Knit Stan Smiths, they cost $60. They're so comfortable. And I think that the silhouette on your feet looks so clean. Like when I look at the shoe by itself on a white background, I'm like, but that's a bad looking shoe, you know? But when it's on my feet, I'm always like, I'll look in the mirror and I'll be like, damn, like that's sleek, you know, it's clean.
And the Prime Knit's probably like super comfortable too.
Super comfortable. Yeah, absolutely. It's like, I'm here doing a lot of medical tests and whatnot, you know, going to the hospital and doing all this stuff. And so I'm trying to be comfortable, and those tick every box. And I think that they're a great alternative, I guess, to the common projects, which at the end of the day, those are $400 shoes. You know, not everybody can afford a pair of Achilles low sneakers. And I think that if you're looking for an alternative for those, this Stan Smith Prime Knits are actually fucking fire. No cap.
Bro, this kid, T's up here rolling up with Uniqlo and Stan Smiths, bro. I mean, this is the thing, guys, is that like you don't need to blow the bag on clothes to look good. Like, I mean, you just don't. And like I said, like these days I'm just wearing a black vintage tee and like some vintage 501s or something, and that's it. And like, you know, it's easy for me and it feels good. And you know, that's been like my daily wear. Yeah,
I mean, what's it called? Greg, who's been on for only one episode, but you know, he's my partner at the Selective. You know, we do a lot of the work together, and you know, he's a really great guy, really good friend of mine for a long time. Him and we had this conversation a lot. And it's like nowadays I kind of want to look like, I don't want to be wearing any expensive, flashy clothes, because him and I both really like watches, right? Which, by the way, we're going to have an episode on watches for sure on the podcast. And I know a lot of guys have been asking for that.
Right.
But Greg and I really like to wear watches. And at the end of the day, watches are expensive, right?
Yeah.
And I've over time I've shifted a lot of the money that I used to spend on clothes into watches. These days I really enjoy collecting watches.
Yeah.
And I think that especially in Europe, it has gotten more dangerous to wear a nice watch, you know, where, you know, you could get robbed and whatnot. You know, like people kind of look out and they know like, oh, that's a Nautilus, or, you know, that's a Rolex or whatever, and they're gonna rob you.
Yeah.
And so I guess the more understated you look, the less eyes are on you, you know? Like when I see a guy out on the street and he's wearing top to bottom fucking Louis Vuitton monogram, Balenciaga, like you name it, just like some really loud, flashy garbage, like Dolce & Gabbana and shit.
Yeah.
And then he's wearing a fucking gold watch. I'm like, dude, you're asking to get robbed, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's facts. And like, what you can get away with that kind of stuff, like in Soho or something. But you know, at the end of the day, you're limiting yourself to what you can do. In my opinion, like if you like to travel a lot too, and it's like, you know, my family's always been like, you know, we're going to Mexico. Don't bring anything that you don't want to get robbed. Like just don't bring anything that somebody could like that will make you stick out.
Brazil's the same, man. Brazil's not a safe place, unfortunately. And, you know, you're not out walking on the street a lot anyway, but it's just like, I don't even bring a watch to Brazil because it's like, for what, you know?
Yeah. Like what's the point?
Yeah, exactly. And nowadays, like one more point on that, where you're saying, you know, dress understated, like wear Uniqlo and whatnot. It's like, I don't feel like I have anything to prove to anybody. You know, I don't have to show up and wear a fucking $6,000 jacket and wear a bunch of whatever, because I don't need to prove anything to anyone. I don't need to go somewhere and be like, have people look at me and be like, yo, this guy has money or whatever. You know, that's especially not what I want. I'm trying to avoid that.
Yeah.
And that's something that, you know, like it's also that develops over time. You know, when you're young, you want to have like the latest designer, you know, you want to have this, you want to have that, because at the end of the day, it's like you want people to think that you're cool.
Right.
Right. Especially when you're in high school.
But that changes when you get older, you know?
It does. It really, really does. I mean, I've seen that big shift in my life in like the last, 5 years, I would say.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So,
and it also just helps like relatability with other people too. Like,
absolutely.
How are you gonna like pull up with somebody on the street? They're following like full monogram shit, and it's like, bro,
it's like you look like a clown.
I know, bro. It's like, bro, we're just getting pizza, you know?
Yeah. Shout out Big Uzi Vert for the question.
Exactly, bro. Next question from Jonas MVM. Normalize wearing the same thing every day. What's your take? Kind of goes back to what we were saying. My take is that, yeah, I think it's okay to wear the same thing every day. I've been wearing the same thing every day for the past, couple weeks since I've been in New York, just because, I'm so settling in my apartment. I've been going shopping just to get stuff from the place. And, it's been easy to wear the same thing every day. Oddly enough, fashion has become like in the back of my mind, even though it's still what I love. It's still like my passion, but it's been easy. Like so yes, normalize wearing the same thing every day. I think it's 100% okay to have 5 black tees and 5 white tees in your closet, and then like a good outerwear piece that you can wear in the fall, like a couple outerwear pieces that'll make an outfit change or pop a little bit. A good pair of sneakers and a good pair of boots, and you're good. Like, yeah, wear the same thing every day. I think that's okay.
Yeah, it's crazy how you said that, how you've moved into New York and fashion has kind of gone onto the back of your mind, because I saw that exact same shift. So when I moved to New York like 2 years ago, I used to be really, really, really into clothes. Like I used to live and breathe clothes. That was my thing. And I moved to New York, and New York's such a crazy city, man, especially when you live there. Like when you go there as a tourist, you're not able to really understand the hustle and bustle, I guess, of New York City.
Yeah.
Like I saw a meme today. I think Joel posted it actually on his story, and it was like, never trust a New Yorker when he tells you that it's a short walk.
Oh yeah.
It's like, because it's true though.
Right.
Because
you
walk, bro. Like I myself, I city bike everywhere in New York City.
By the way, the city bike is fire, bro.
Fire. I told you, bro. I put you on to it.
Yes, bro. I took the city bike, and you feel like you're flying through the city, bro.
Dude, you not only are you flying through the city, but it's like, I don't want to say that it makes me feel alive.
It does, like, though, bro. The breeze
I'm telling you. Yeah, exactly.
Bro, the train is like hella stuffy, bro. Like, like fools are breathing on each other. We're in a pandemic. Like when you're on the bike, I was on the bike with Joel, and bro, there was this one moment where
were you guys on an electric bike?
Yeah, we're on the electrics, bro.
Yeah,
and those things fly.
Amazing.
The thing is that like we were like flying through like Soho, and I'm like, I literally thought to myself like, damn, this is what it feels to be alive.
Yeah, literally. That's what's crazy. It's like, as cliche as it sounds, when I was in New York 2 months ago, I would ride my bike on a beautiful day, and I would be on a beautiful street, and I would really like, I would breathe in the air, and I'm like, wow, I'm really living.
Yeah.
It's like, especially since for the past year and a half, I've been confined to certain spaces, whether I'm at my house or whether I'm at my parents' place or wherever, it's like, when I'm on a city bike and when I'm in New York City, it makes me feel alive.
Yeah.
And so back to my point that I was making about how when I moved to New York, it's like the first couple of weeks I was still thinking about clothes, but then once I got into my routine and I was like, have all this stuff to do, day to day, I'm walking around, I'm biking, I'm doing whatever. It's like, it goes to the back of your mind.
Yes.
At the end of the day, I used to, I grew up in Switzerland, right? Switzerland's a tiny place. There's not a lot of people. Everybody knows each other, and there's not a lot to do. So at the end of the day, like dressing up and, like looking fly or whatever, that was something to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But in New York, there's just so much to do, and there's so many people and whatnot that it's very easy for you to quickly, like, get caught up in like, and one thing specifically where you talk about the Bergs. When I moved to New York City, I used to be a guy that used to never wear slip-on shoes. I don't know. It was just like, I just didn't used to wear slip-ons.
Yeah.
And when I moved to New York, dude, I swear, like it got to a point where my rotation was exclusively slip-on shoes. Because when I was getting out of the house, I just wanted to slip them on and leave.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have to get down and tie my shoes and shit.
Right.
Because you're so caught up in that hustle of New York City that it's just like, even these tiny, minute details, like having a pair of slip-on shoes, it's like, I'm trying to make my life easier. It's back to that point that I was making before.
Okay. It's crazy you say that, because when I thought I was moving to New York, I'm like, okay, like there are millions of people. This city is the heart of the world. I'm going to have to look fly every day. But ironically, there are so many people that you just don't give a shit. because
Yeah.
nobody's paying attention to you. Everybody's moving and grooving, bro. Like people got places to go. Nobody's looking at you, bro. And
No one.
ironically, bro, it was so weird to me. Like I thought, like, man, I'm gonna be in New York. Like I gotta look like on my shit.
I gotta
And
look
then
like $1 million.
yes, bro. And then like I got here and I'm like doing my stuff and I'm like, dude, like there's so many
I
people
don't
here and
care.
nobody
Yeah.
cares. Like we're just doing our own thing.
No, and like people, I see it all the time. Like a tourist will go to New York and you'll be walking around and like a random homeless person will like fucking scream or something, and the tourist will be like, "Whoa, that's insane! Like, what's going on?" But you look at a regular New Yorker and he's just like on his phone or whatever. He's
Yeah,
just like
just
he
moving.
doesn't even skip a beat. That's
No.
normal,
Yeah.
right? It's what you said. Like, there's so much stuff going on in New York, or like I'm not even worried about looking fly or like looking a little flyer, because at the end of the day, there are some people that are fucking avant-garde as shit. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy. It's just you need to live there to understand. But
Yeah, and like obviously like tourists stick out on New York, like, and they always will. But also like when you're in a city this big and there's so many people moving around, like I mean, the less you stand out, the better, to be honest. Like
yeah,
and
absolutely.
it's just like yeah, it's just it was so crazy when that hit me. It's like I thought I was gonna come here and be like, man, I gotta look my shit every day, and it's like no, like it's not true. Like people are so busy. Like you're just another person in this big city, like trying to get from
Yeah,
point A to point B.
absolutely.
So, yeah, good questions there. Moving on to our next question. Let's see here. This question is from NCRVZN. We need the GOAT, Kenny Jima, on the pod. We
Coming
are
soon.
coming soon, working on it. Bro, y'all got to understand is that the US is a very weird place right now. Like, everybody has a shot in their arm, and like the rest of the world is not like that. And like, I want to go to Japan. My brother was trying to plan a trip to Japan for the spring, and it's probably not going to happen. These are developed countries that don't have vaccines, and like
Yeah, I
it.
mean the vaccination is rolling out slow. I mean, I was actually speaking to Ken not too long ago, and he was telling me, he was like, here in Japan, only the very elderly have got vaccinated so far. It's taken a long time to roll out.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, we do have plans to get Ken on the podcast. I mean, we've talked about it before, but once I'm settled in New York City, we're going to have a studio where we'll be shooting the podcast, in video format, where you guys will be able to see XR and I, and, you'll be able to see what we're wearing that day and whatnot. And, you'll be able to see us interact with our guests. And, we very much plan on having some great guests once the studio is set up, and Ken is one of them. So
Yeah.
shout out to my boy Ken, and, hopefully get him onto the pod soon.
Yeah, a lot of it's just dependent on the situation that everyone's in right now. Like, traveling to places is, while in the U.S., like once you're in the U.S., it's easy because most people are vaccinated here. It's just not the same like in Europe and like Japan especially.
Yeah.
I don't think the Japanese government wants me just pulling in right now. You know what I mean?
Don't.
Like
they don't.
Like they just don't. So, and vice versa. So, a lot of it's pending on the situation, but we're gonna try our hardest to be safe. One, to make sure our guests are safe, and then also make sure that we can provide good content. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, it's just something that's gonna take a little bit of time. So just bear with us on that. But yes, Ken will be on the pod at some point, and hopefully give us some insight on Vuja Day. A couple more questions before we wrap up, man. From KRXSJR, man, some of y'all's handles are.
It's because people send in questions on their burner account. Always. It's like that's 100% why. 100%.
What's the first high fashion piece you were interested in?
I think I've talked about this before on the pod, that mine was the Yeezy 750 Boost, the original.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know if I would call that high fashion, but it's like that's what got me into high fashion.
It was a catalyst,
Yeah, absolutely. It was like, okay, this is a fly sneaker. I would have died when that sneaker came out to have it, and I did eventually go on to own that sneaker. And for me, I always tell people, I was like, this is the reason why I like clothes, sneaker, because at the end of the day, once you have a fly sneaker, you have to look fly, right? Your outfit has to be fly too.
Yeah, 100%.
So but I think that the first like designer item I ever bought, fuck man, let me think.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of mine too, but it's hard, man. It's hard to think back like that.
Yeah, I was in high school in Brazil. No, not high school, middle school. I was in middle school in Brazil when I was like 14. So that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I remember in Brazil, like I had moved to Brazil and I had come from a place where people like didn't care at all. And it was also the age, like there was no like people didn't wear designer brands when they were 14, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But then I came to Brazil and it was a bit different. It was like people here were like dripping out, they were wearing watches, they had designer brands and shit. And I remember I had to fucking beg to my parents when I was 14 because I really wanted to have a Prada wallet. Because I
Really?
had like, yeah, because I had like a whatever, I had like a random wallet. I
Yeah.
didn't even have like my own credit cards at the time. I didn't even carry cash. It was just
Right.
like I wanted to have a really nice wallet. And I remember after a lot of begging, eventually my dad took me to a Prada store and he bought me a Prada wallet. And it was like I was like the happiest kid in the world for
Damn.
sure that day.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. For me, I guess like the first pieces that got me into it was just really like that, like the whole hype culture, like, and it's not like a luxury brand, but like the Jerry Boy stuff,
Right.
like the Fear of God stuff, like, and that was
Oh
just like a
yeah.
catalyst for other things, bro. That was a weird time in fashion, the whole Jerry Boy era.
Dude, I was very young during
Oh
that
yeah,
era, but that was like right when I started, you know, having access to more money and started buying more clothes and stuff
yeah,
and then the whole Jerry Boy thing started happening, like Fear of God started popping off,
oh
obviously
yeah,
because of Kanye as
yeah,
well.
yeah,
I mean, Kanye was my god back then. I mean, nowadays I don't really know what he's up to, but
yeah.
um
Album coming out tomorrow, allegedly.
yeah, apparently
Allegedly, man.
shout out to Sean, he loves Kanye.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Shout out Sean.
um but the Jerry Boy era, like, dude, that was crazy. So someone I actually want to have on the podcast is my friend Ben Henry.
Mm.
If you were back in the day, if you were in the Jerry Boy era, you know who Ben Henry is. Like, and at least for me, I talk about it all the time. And if we do have him on the podcast, so I'll definitely bring it up when we do get him on. But for me, Ben Henry is like the not icon, but he's the guy that like paved the way for there to be like a men's fashion Instagram scene,
Yeah.
because he was really like he was the first one
With
who
like
was
the
doing
fit
it like that.
pics, like the
Yeah,
poses.
and he had an aesthetic, man, that
Yeah.
his pictures were just clean. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I say it all the time. Like Ben is kind of out of fashion these days. I talk to him a lot, but like he was like the one back
Right.
then. He was like the only one
Yeah.
too. And people like Ken, people like myself, there was like people like Oscar. It was everybody was a Jerry Boy.
Yes, bro. I
Like
was a Jerry
nowadays,
boy, bro.
yeah,
Everybody was a Jerry
nowadays
boy.
all of those pictures are like archived on all of our Instagrams. But like if you had access to my archives or like Ken's archives and whatnot, it was like every picture, it was I'm trying to replicate the Jerry Lorenzo look and the Jerry Lorenzo aesthetic, because Jerry had a really clean Instagram back in the days as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, man. It was like the long tees, the skinny jean blowouts,
Dude, the
layering,
layering,
bro, with the
that's
flannels,
crazy.
bro, and like
No, it was crazy to me how people used to wear elongated like tank top underneath a t-shirt and then
yeah,
put like a flannel on top of it. It was
so
like,
it
yo,
could stack.
I gotta have all the layers. Like it's gotta be a little bit of the piece underneath.
Yeah, bro.
No, but
Yeah,
those were the golden days, in my
yeah.
opinion,
Oh
because
yeah,
it wasn't about like, yo, I got this many followers, like, yo, I get this many likes on my pictures. It was really about like, I'm dripping out, like
yeah,
this is my swag, like,
yeah,
and everybody who was in that community was a like-minded individual. Whereas nowadays, it's like some people get into fashion because they want followers. It's like
right, right.
you'll see a random person that has a lot of money or whatever, and they'll just be like, yo, I want to be famous on Instagram. I want to be an influencer. So I'm just going to buy a bunch of designer gear and just fucking flex it. Right.
Right, right. Yeah, man, that was the golden. I mean, that was like when like fashion Instagram like really started. Like that it paved the way to what we have today was that Jerry Boy
For
look.
real. For real. That was like the Adam and Eve right there.
Yeah, yeah, it 100% was, man. It 100% was. Moving on. I'm just done reading these names, man. Y'all got to get these aren't even legible. For T, what was the hardest piece you've ever tried to buy and what was the process?
Dude, I don't know. Like that's a tough question. Like hardest piece to buy in terms of like a piece that's hard to acquire or like a piece that I had to hunt down. I guess I'll give an anecdote for both.
Okay.
Nowadays, if you're well versed in watches, you'll know that buying a watch, you cannot walk into a store and buy like a Patek Philippe Nautilus or like buy, any Rolex, any steel Rolex.
Bro, did you hear that Rolex, they're not making any watches for like the next year or something because they're short supplied?
Really?
Yeah,
No way.
I'll send you the article.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that. That's crazy. But anyway, so you can't walk in and buy like a steel Daytona. You know, you can't buy a steel sports watch nowadays because they go for like 3x. Like
Yeah.
the retail price you pay, they're worth 3 times as much.
Yeah.
So like pieces that have been very hard for me to acquire is like, you know, any watch at retail, you know, it's like you have to build that relationship. You know, you have to wait. Like I've waited 3 years to buy a certain watch.
3 years, bro.
No, so to give you an idea, we'll put up a picture, but there's a Patek Philippe Nautilus, which is a 5740. Okay. And that's my absolute like favorite watch.
Okay.
And that watch came out almost 4 years ago. It came out in 2018. Okay. And the day it came out, I went to the store and I was like, I want this watch, right? Like this is the one. I want to have this watch. And that day, the lady that I speak to at the store, you know, that I have a good relationship with, she told me, she's like, it's going to take about 4 years for you to receive this watch. And
pay for
and
it now, get it in 4 years.
No. Okay. You don't. That's what's good is that you don't pay anything. Okay. They just put your name down, and one day you'll get a call on a random day. and what's crazy is that I'm now 3.5 years into the wait, and like, you know, the time's coming, and you think about the fact that, like, when they tell you it's going to take 4 years for you to get this watch, you're like, oh my God, in 4 years, I might not be alive.
Right,
it's
right.
It's crazy. 4 years is like so down the line, but time flies, man. The time comes quick. And so I guess the hardest piece that I've ever tried to buy, which I still have not bought, but, you know, fingers crossed it'll happen soon, is a Patek Philippe Nautilus 5740.
Bro, when you get that call,
dude, when I get that call, it might be the best day of my life, man,
dude, honestly. that's actually fucking crazy. Like I thought, like,
yeah, but to give you an idea, like that's a watch that, you know, you pick it up at the store and it's like $110,000. Yeah. But you can sell that the next day for $250 if you want to.
Really?
You know?
Because the supply is that short?
Because the supply is so small and the demand is so big, you know? But it's like at the end of the day, I have no plans to resell any of my watches because I love to collect. You know, I really like, I have that gene in me. I think that people who like to collect things, they just have a collector's gene.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've collected sneakers, I've collected clothes, and then now I collect cars and I collect watches, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's my anecdote for hardest piece to buy that I still haven't bought, but hopefully soon.
Man, and then 4 years, bro. What the fuck?
In terms of the hardest piece that I had to hunt down, like clothing wise, and that I did buy that like I wanted for a really long time, it's a piece that's actually on the Selective right now. If you guys go check it out, it's the Raf Simons Everything Patch crew neck, like from I think it's from Riot collection. Anyway, that piece, it was like there was one on Grailed a very long time ago, maybe like 3 years ago. Damn. That it was up for like one day, literally. And then it didn't sell. Like the guy took it off and I messaged him and he never answered me. And I remember I originally saw that piece in an article, like where Lucas Sabat did something like 4 years ago in this magazine. And he had that crew neck. And I was like, wow, that's the coolest fucking crew neck in the world. Like it's full of patches. It's sick. And it's all black, which is very much my style. You know how I was telling you that like only 10% of Raf pieces are really wearable.
Yeah, because a lot of it's like you can't fucking wear it out day to day. Yeah.
So this is in that 1%, you know, that it's like very wearable and it's such a sick piece.
Right.
And so it took me so long to hunt that piece down. And then maybe like 6 or so months ago, maybe a little, it was during the pandemic. This guy put one up because I had you know how you can save searches on Grailed where you get notifications?
Yeah, you get the notification.
This guy put one up on Grailed and he wanted like $3,500 for it, right? And it was a guy that had like one review on Grail, like he had never sold, and he put on the description, he's like, you know, I bought this originally myself in like 2003, like I'm the original owner, and so I messaged him and I was like, yo, like, are you for real? Like you bought this yourself? And he was like, yeah, I bought it in London, Brown's Fashion in like 2002. He was like a super old guy. He was not super old, but maybe he was like older. He was like in his late 30s for sure. So, you know, when he was like our age, he was into dripping. And so he was in the Raf, right? And so he bought this. And so I messaged him and I was like, yo, I'll buy it off you right now for like $2,000. It was up for $3,500. I was like, yo, I'll give you $2,000 right now. And he was like, absolutely not, man. Like, this is such a rare piece. I will not sell this for $2,000, you know, like forget about it. Damn. And at this point we're in the pandemic, right? So people are really struggling, like losing their jobs. It was like right at the beginning of the pandemic. And so not even a week later, he sends me a message and he was like, yo, if you want, I'll sell it to you for $2,600. Right. So it was up for $3,500. And he's like, if you want, I'll sell it to you for $2,600. And like I said, we were in the pandemic. We didn't even know if, the world was going to recover ever.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I told him, I was like, bro, I cannot pay you 2,600 right now. Like the economy is collapsing. Like you're fucking crazy.
The world's falling
like,
apart as we speak,
yeah,
bro.
I was like, literally, I was like, homie, like no one is going to pay you 2,600 right now for this piece. Like I have to stand at 2,000. Like, that's all I got for this right now.
Yeah.
And eventually, after like a lot of back and forth, he was like, okay, we agreed on like a price that was, it was somewhere around 2,000. I can't remember, but I remember I got it for a good deal.
Yeah.
And eventually we agreed on a price, and I told him, all right, bet. And I bought it, and he shipped it to me, and dude, it arrived in, it's an amazing condition.
Really? Like it probably just sat in his closet for years.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I know that for a fact. Like the piece is in amazing condition. It's such a good piece. And like, I'm really happy to have it in my wardrobe. I mean, I have it up on the Selective for like I think it's up for like 3,500 or something. I mean, at the end of the day, that is what it's worth. Like you won't find another one for sale, like you could look everywhere. You won't find another one for sale. And I've had a lot of people hit me up for that crew neck, like trying to negotiate. And I always tell them, I'm like, I don't really want to sell this, honestly. Like as rude as that sounds, I don't really want to sell it. So unless you're going to pay my price, I'm not going to sell it.
Yeah.
And so, I'm happy to hold on to that for as long as I want. I love that piece. So there's my crazy. That's something I had to hunt down.
Yeah. That's a crazy piece, man. And it's crazy how that guy was probably like in our position. Yeah. In 2003, bro.
Literally. That's crazy.
When we were like babies, bro. He was like trying to.
Literally. I was like fucking 4 years old.
Yeah, exactly, bro. That's so fucking crazy.
What about you, bro? Before we wrap up, what was your hardest piece to buy? Have you ever had a piece that you really had to hunt down?
I mean, not really, man. Like, not really, because I've never like spent huge on like a piece like that. So not really. I mean, I guess a recent example, and it's not even that big, is that like it took a long time to find these Guidis. Like it really did. Like everyone's fiending for Guidis right now, man. Like they're not easy to find. And I've been looking for a pair of Guidis for months, like for probably like a good 6-7 months. And everything I found, like, the listings would like disappear because like people would like hold on to them, I guess, and not want to sell them. And like Guidi doesn't really have like an online presence really where you can like just cop.
Like, see their store and shit. It's like Chrome Hearts, like you can't go on a website and be like, this is what we have for sale.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's not like that. Like there's a lot of allure to it. There's a lot of like mystery behind it. So really, like your best options are like Farfetch or Essence, and paying over $1,000, or like hitting on Grailed and getting below that. So
I mean, at the end of the day, it's like you didn't just want any pair of Guidis. You got to find the right pair. Right?
Exactly, and like the sizing is really weird too, man. Like Guidi sizing is atrocious because they're like handmade and shit, like hand dyed. So like, you know what I mean? Like I was fucking nervous, bro. I was like, man, these shoes are gonna come in and they're not gonna fit.
Damn, that's crazy that it was your pair fits great.
They fit perfect.
That's crazy, bro. You hit the jackpot.
I hit the jackpot. Yeah, I really did. I hit the jackpot. They fit perfect. They're already broken in. So like literally, there's no leg room or compromise for me. But that's a piece that took me a long time to get because, everything that I found was like a size down. And like usually with luxury, like you size down with boots. But like everyone's told me, it's like, no, man, like Guidis run small. Like your toes are going to be like fucking broken. And so I finally found like my true to size, and I pulled on them. So I'm really happy about that, man. And that's probably, what comes to mind recently as something that I hunted down. A lot of patience, man, with these pieces, bro.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, if you rush these kind of things, you're not going to get what you really want.
No,
like if you want something great, you can't rush it. No. Like, good things take time. People say it all the time, but they do. They really do at the end of the day. And I feel like the hunt is also part of the experience. It makes you appreciate more like when you get just the perfect pair.
Yes, bro.
Like when I got that crew neck in and it was in amazing condition and it fits me so well, like so much RAF is so oversized and I'm not a big guy. So, it's tough for me to shop like vintage and then Raf Simons archive. And like, it was just perfect. It hit literally it ticked every box, And so those are the little things that make you appreciate a piece so much more, for sure.
Yeah, especially when it takes time for you to get them, like you said, man. It just makes you look at it more as a piece of art,
Absolutely, 100%.
So, but hey, T man, wrapping it on a really good time. 58 minutes, bro.
That's crazy.
It just always flies when we're on the pod, man.
It really does. I think that when we have the studio and stuff, we might have to adapt our times from like 45 minutes to an hour, man. Like
Probably, especially like when
it's
we're in there
crazy.
just like chilling and stuff, like it's gonna
Yeah,
get
it's
long.
just gonna go by so fast.
Exactly, bro. I will see you in a couple weeks, man. When you're back in New York, safe travels back to Europe,
Absolutely.
as always, bro. Before we end off, man, any shout outs, any plugs you want to give, anything you want to say to the people?
Yeah, guys, keep it locked in. As always on the Selective, we have a lot of good stuff up right now. Lots more, great inventory coming in. And make sure to hit us up if you guys need to consign anything. We're always happy to take care of anything you guys want to sell. So yeah, shout out to XR holding it down on the podcast. Always a pleasure to come on. And shout out to you guys, whoever's listening. I mean, we always appreciate, any feedback,
Yeah.
seeing you guys enjoy the podcast. I get a lot of messages on my DMs like, yo, I love this week's episode and stuff. And like that shit makes me smile. And it's like we're happy that you guys enjoy the content we're putting out.
Yeah, and it's just fun, man. It's just a fun way for us to express ourselves, and we're just happy that there's people on the other side who appreciate it too. And it's been a blessing. And once we're all in New York, I know we keep saying it, it's just gonna go up from here. Looking forward to doing video content. We're gonna review. We're gonna do an overview of that LV jacket, that varsity jacket, and then down the line we'll do some other good YouTube videos around other pieces as well. But for me and for T-Man, thank you all so much for listening to the pod. It was a fun one. We'll get back to regular content next week. And then, of course, in 10 episodes from now, we'll do another Q&A. So thank you for sending all your questions in. And we'll talk to y'all soon.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We'll talk to y'all soon. Peace.
Peace.